Are you ready to learn? Because my super experienced guests are ready to share some really valuable information. Make sure and listen all the way to the end to get help and support. So let's start with the best audio experience.
Hello guys, today we discuss about a very important topic because without UX it's hard to grow your business, it's hard to sell your products, it's hard to get traffic because without user experience, without satisfying user intent better than your competitors, you can't go ahead. That's why I'm so excited to discuss this topic with Joe Karasin. How are you?
Hi, how's it going today? Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm doing great. We chatted a little bit about Monday, so I love this day because because of passion that I do. So, Joe, before we start, just tell more about your experience, background, and why you decided to share with us about this very important topic.
Sure. So, my name is Joe Karasin. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at digitalwill.com, which is a digital estate planning tool, a solution that will help you even after you're gone. And I'll get a little bit into that at some point. But so I've been in digital marketing for a little over a decade now. One of the things that I have always been a proponent of is letting the data help you make your decisions, whether it is in the content that you produce or in the way that you structure your ad accounts, and also, in the way that the user experience flow is designed for your website or your mobile app or whatever other tools you're using. So that is a little bit of why this topic was interesting to me, and I think might be interesting to those of you that are listening.
Yeah, 100% will be interested because without without data, you can't go ahead. You can't develop and grow your business. And, for example, 12 years ago, when I started my online journey, I created a bunch of websites. At that time, I didn't consider a lot about data. I didn't collect data because competition was low, so low. But today, when you need to pay like 5-10 dollars per click, it's not like 5-10 cents many years ago. Yeah, you need to consider data. You need to analyze a buying persona to and create content that satisfies user intent. Okay, Joe, can you tell where to start? For example, let's imagine I have a new project. I'm going to promote it, and I have no data. So, any insights how to collect this data?
Yeah, so my very first thing I tell anybody who's looking to start a brand new, app or product, whatever it is, you need to determine what means success for your customer. What is that high level stuff that the customer that you really want is going to be doing? So let's say you've created an app that helps you design baseball cards, right? So what's a successful user? Successful user has completed the creation of a baseball card. How does the user do that? They have to take specific actions to do that. So you can benchmark those actions along their journey. Now that you understand what your successful customer looks like, that then you can start optimizing your experience for those particular actions. So what's going to be the fastest path for the user to get to success, right? How do they get there? So, there's different ways you can do it, but, I think the first thing you need to do is understand where you need the customer to be. Then you need to create that fast path. You need to understand what that quick path is going to look like. And you need to make sure that path is smooth for them, but also still gives you the information you need. And I think that's where some brands get hung up. So I think they want to throw long forms in front of people and, collect all this information up front. And what that does most of the time is it makes the user go, whoa, hold on, I don't want to give you all this information about me. So first party data collection is really, is about building trust. So a lot of times what you'll see in most most platforms now is a guest mode or free use, right? So they can go in and play around a little bit and maybe they'll give you like a little bit of, like Canva is a good example of this. Canva does a really good job of letting you do a little bit, but there's all these premium things that you have to get in order to unlock certain templates and some of the better assets that you want to use. So that's sort of the kind of model that you can incorporate, but it allows you to collect the data from somebody, but also build that trust with them up front.
Yeah.
Some of the quicker kind of things you can do early on.
Yeah, Canva is a great example. But if you check out Google, it's free. Facebook, it's free. Of course, they monetize a lot, but almost all big brands are free in some way. So you can use them. Even Apple, for example, Apple Podcast is free. I can listen to podcasts for free. So you need to find how to share value, to help others, support others. Then you can think how to monetize your efforts. I'm interested about another aspect about collecting data. It's over data. Interested about that. Once I read a story about Jeff Bezos, when research team came to him and asked about that they need more time to collect data about a new product. That was Alexa. Almost all companies, homes in the US have this gadget, but and they told him we need more time to analyze customers, to think how we can create this product. And he replied, no way. Nobody knows. We need to test. We need to use. We have enough data. Can you tell how to find this balance between data and over data? Because once I spoke with a great expert on this niche. Sorry, I don't remember the name, but anyway, she told me the biggest problem when companies get over data than they need, because 60% of data are ignored. So can you tell how to find this balance between data and over data?
Yeah, so it's interesting because working in a startup environment, speeds everything, right? So like we could sit there on our twiddle our thumbs while we're collecting, and not necessarily actually take action. But what I think is like the most important thing when it comes to like how much data do you need and what information should you be getting, really it's about like what's going to make the user experience better. Like I think if you're using the data, if you find data that's going to help you improve the user experience, then you're not really going over what you need to. I think like when you start getting into platforms like Alexa is a good example. Like, does Alexa really need to know that like I bought a wooden spoon, 6 weeks ago? Does Jeff Bezos need to know that? Probably not. That's a little much. You can collect the data if you need to, but what are you going to use it for? And I think finding that like what's the best use case for the data that you're collecting, that is, I think, the more important question. And I think like if it's data you're not going to use, then it's, you're collecting too much to begin with.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about personalization. Customers are impatient to get what they want to get. Like as I mentioned, 12 years ago, they didn't, because they didn't have a lot of choices that they have today. They can watch videos on YouTube, get websites on Google, listen to audio podcasts, many different channels, social media. So can you tell how to personalize the experience? Because we have a huge bounce rate today, like 80%. For example, I check out a study that readers only read 5% of all books. So 95% are ignored. And it's the same with any content. On YouTube, 80% of people leave videos for 20 seconds. Because you couldn't get their attention. So let's talk about personalization, how to personalize your content according to getting data.
Yeah, so personalization, obviously, in order to personalize, you need to collect some information and some data. And that to me is something that we are a little less in our organization, we're a little less worried about, mainly because like we really only want to use the data to like improve user experience. So, we can collect data that will help like the user move through our process and help them set up their digital will and help them, invite executors and things like that into the platform. But I think when we talk about personalization, we're talking a little bit more about things like e-commerce, right? And like shopping, for example, and you can collect the data of what people are shopping for. And then, you can have that data routed through to, into a CRM that'll help you figure out, okay, here's 10 other things they might want. But, in our particular, business model, it isn't really like as important or uh, as crucial to worry about personalization. One thing that we're really pretty strict about is data privacy and data security, and so we don't ever provide third party with data from our customers, mainly because of the sensitive nature of what we're collecting and what we're doing for our customers. So we actually like try not to do things like that, and so we don't really, that sort of thing is sort of kind of against what we do, which is interesting, I think.
Yeah, love it, love it. You remind me a story about Walmart or Walmart, probably Walmart. Collected data about pregnant women, and they analyzed how long does it take to get a kid, and then send them messages about some kids stuff on Walmart, and many of these women felt that someone stole this information, and insulted them. Many of them, they don't understand how they know that they have a kid. So it's better to be careful with that and use only legal methods to collect this data. Okay, Joe, I have the question about for example, okay, I have data. I know how to personalize my experience, but how to cover all this information with a buying persona? The reason why I'm asking about that, once I spoke with a webmaster who told me he lost 400,000 traffic a month, a lot, because Google dropped ranking positions, but he didn't lose any sales. So he got a huge traffic without sales. Can you tell how to create content that covers a buying persona? Because it's not only about traffic or engagement, it's more about selling products in the end. Any insights about uniting your strategy with a buying persona?
Yeah. So one of the things we did early on was we really kind of understood like the people that are going to be most interested in what we're doing, and those kind of personas are things that we um, are certain people that are going to be more apt to be thinking about end of life planning. People who maybe have terminal illnesses, people who have dangerous jobs like police, military, firefighters, moms and kids, moms of children that, they worry about those things. And then also, the elderly, baby boomers, things like that. So, and then once you have those like user profiles that you've sort of seen over and over again, you then can start to really look at the content that's going to be valuable to them. One of the things that I found really beneficial in helping develop a content strategy has really been utilizing things like Reddit and Quora, like looking into those topical discussions of like what are these people actually talking about around these subject matters. And I think that like kind of helps you like take that persona and really flesh it out a little bit more. What are baby boomers talking about? Most of them are talking about things like, how do I leave my grandson this watch if I don't have like a will, or how do I create a will so I can leave these things for my loved ones? So things like that are heavier topics that get talked about when it comes to like somebody who's terminally ill. How do I get to be there for my loved ones when they're having big events and I'm not able to be there because I'm gone? things like that. So those kinds of topics are things that are really important. So then you can create content for that. And that I think is, a way you can personalize, but also a way that you can really speak directly to those people that are going to be most interested in what you're selling. And I think, the example you brought up is a good indicator, right? So like you can get all the traffic in the world and have no sales, and you can lose half your traffic and get more sales. And it really is about like finding that niche market that you have really pinned down, and then you can kind of understand them better.
Yeah, yeah. Even if you get only 100 people but can sell 10 times, it's better than if you have million traffic but can sell like zero or a few times.
Exactly.
Because sales are fuel. We have the question about someone wanna ask about specific niche or broad niche, where to choose direction. Can you tell about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, it's sort of oddly enough, it's kind of ironically, it's kind of a broad question. But it depends on like what it is you're doing. You have a product. If you're looking to develop a product, I think it makes sense to go with a specific niche if there's nothing existing. But if there's something that exists, then I would go. Otherwise, I'm sorry, I flip flop that. If nothing exists, go with a broad niche. And if there's some, and if something does, try to dig in a little deeper and get into specifics. If there's solutions out there that are already kind of really dominating the market, either improve on them or look elsewhere and look into something that might be a little more, the geniuses that at this are 3M, right? The 3M doesn't make anything. They make everything better. That's their whole thing. And so that is something that I think might be a good way to think about, whether or not you should go specific or broad.
Yeah, thank you, Mushtaba, for your question. I like it, and I think for me, it's more important to start with specific niche. But if you have results, you can take more broad niche, but it's better to start from specific niche to pay attention in one direction, because broad niche is overwhelmed and overpriced. But when you focus in one specific direction, then results will be much better, because you don't try to be jack of all trades to take everything. If you have resources, then go away. Why not? Okay.
Good answer.
I have the question about, on your LinkedIn profile, I see in the section about optimizing growth strategies across digital platforms. Let's talk more about that. Can you tell how to optimize the strategy? Because, according to Marketing Institute, only 36% of all businesses have a documented content strategy. Most of them ignore creating content strategy. Even some businesses that have, it doesn't mean they have some well-analyzed strategy. They usually check out competitors, see how they get traffic, sales, and replicate it. I'm not sure it's a good idea, because competitors are good with their strong sides. They have their unique selling proposition. Can you tell how optimize the strategy and find something that will actually work for a specific business?
Yeah. So, every strategy is different for every business. So really you need to understand the goals and the overall structure of what it is you're trying to accomplish. And then looking at every single individual platform, how do you utilize that platform? Everything's got its own unique characteristics. So like social media has its own sort of like best practices, right? SEO has its own best practices. Paid search has its own best practices. And then there's platforms that won't help you, that are things that are actually counterproductive. For example, if your audience is pretty much like 55 and older, like if you're selling, something that's more for like a retirement community, TikTok is probably not going to be the platform you want to use. Now, if you're trying to sell, drink tickets to a really hip concert, TikTok is a great platform. That's the kind of thing. It's understanding each one of those like different content levers and how they're going to best, improve your brand and help your marketing strategy. So it's for us, it was really like, omni-channel was really the best way to go. We really had to be pretty much everywhere. And we really needed to have like the customer at the center of our marketing. We needed to talk to the communities that we were serving and say, like, this is how this person's life got better as a result of what we do. It was more about like giving them the ability to imagine what they could be doing with our platform, as opposed to, we have this, and this feature, because that features for something brand new don't really have the same selling point as they do with, the imagination and tapping into that emotional connection. And that's a big part of strategy as well. And then from there, once you kind of have your platform strategy outlined, then it becomes, okay, like you said earlier about some other things, test. You need to start testing your content, testing your audiences, and really seeing if like what you're doing is working. Because at the end of the day, you can have the best looking content strategy document in the world, but if it's not moving the needle in terms of sales, adoption, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, you're dead in the water. And that's really like the bulk of what, I try to accomplish is getting that strategy to be something that's actually going to be successful.
Yeah, awesome. I love it because once I made a mistake. By the way, I made a lot of mistakes. I keep doing them, but I love learning from my mistakes. And in 2020, I decided to grow my social media accounts on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, probably Pinterest, many social media platforms, because of repurposing content. But the best results that I got were like 5 followers a day, 100 views. Then I switched all my attention to LinkedIn, ignoring all other social media platforms to get 200 followers a day plus 10,000 views a lot. So because of focusing on a specific niche, can you tell how to implement multi-channel approach? Because, for example, I see when companies copy Gary Vee, and Gary Vaynerchuk can say, you need to repurpose content everywhere. That's okay if you have resources, if you have skills. But if you just do it for the sake of adding content everywhere, it doesn't work. If you have no audience, it doesn't work. So can you tell how to use multi-channel approach effectively?
Yeah. So, one of the things that it kind of gets back to what I was saying about the strategy portion a little bit. Audiences hang out on certain platforms. If you're in B2B, Facebook probably isn't going to mean a whole lot to you, but it'll mean a lot to you to be on LinkedIn and to really grow from there. The people that are going to be interested in what you have to say and what you're putting out are going to be on that platform. If you are if you're an influencer or something and you're trying to help, increase product sales, Instagram is probably going to be your best bet. So grow your Instagram channel. Once you've grown, and then understanding, like if you're trying to take a multi-channel approach, understand the audience that's there. Tailor your messaging to them. Don't just take one video and slap it on every platform and expect it to be the successful piece of content that it was great on LinkedIn, so it must be good everywhere else. Not necessarily. You need to look at, things like even like weird sort of things like aspect ratios, right? Like on Instagram, some videos look funky because people try to take their YouTube and crank it into a vertical rather than actually resizing it. Now, granted, that takes a little more work and a little more know-how, but it's something to think about. Like if something looks like, if something doesn't look good on the platform, I'm going to skip it, right? Nobody wants to just look at like a weird thing. So it's important to understand the platform, understand the audience on that platform, and then tailor the messaging around those, like those two things to understand how to effectively grow each of those channels. Once you do that, taking a multi-channel approach is not as hard as it sounds, but it is something that's important.
Yeah. I think it's important to have resources, for multi-channel approach. Yeah. Okay, we have the question, one more question about
About
AI.
this.
So yeah, it's hot topic today. I think
Mhm.
that was simple to ignore AI. Yesterday, hard today, and impossible tomorrow. So we need to consider trends. And I personally use AI tools a lot. I use them before ChatGPT, and I keep using them because of saving my time. Now I know how it's important to save my time, resources, and if AI content can help, yeah, why not? And it's not a golden button. It's not like to click and get complete content. You need to edit, to think how to personalize or add some emotions or data. No, yeah, but it's time saver if you don't create from scratch. Creating from scratch, yeah, takes time. Okay, what do you think about AI content, Jasper, ChatGPT, or any other tools today?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it, you know, back when I was a kid, we didn't have like tools like this. I'm a little older. We had like encyclopedias, and so you would go to the library and you would do research in an encyclopedia about a topic, and then you would write your essay. And your essay couldn't just be the encyclopedia article. You needed to write about it on your own. And that's kind of the same thing. Like, yes, it moves a lot quicker than like a book would, but you're really just researching the topic. And I think that's the best use of this technology right now, is pulling like information, instead of having to grab 20 different articles about, a topic, you know type it into Chat GPT, get the information, and then take that information and actually plug it into a unique piece of content. Because at the end of the day, they're still going to prioritize unique research and unique content over this. I think, like, when you ask if you're going to be penalized, I don't think penalized is the right way to look at it. What's going to happen though is your content is going to get lost. Your content is going to look like everybody else's. It's going to sound like everybody else's. And like, if you've got 20 websites that all have the same article about the same topic, they're really just going to show you the one that has the best like other signals. So there's no, like, your website's just going to get ignored. So it's really important to understand that while utilizing these tools is great, and I think they help speed along that cycle of creation, you need to be really careful about what next steps you're going to take. Don't just write what everybody else is going to write, because then you are going to end up losing.
Yeah, yeah. You remind me interesting story about a girl. She was introvert, and she didn't have friends. She didn't have engagement on social media, and once she decided to post content about herself, uh, to do it consistently. And after that, a million people started to follow her. A lot of people followed her because million people are the same. She didn't copy others. She didn't replicate influencers. She didn't show that she's someone else. Because when you play yourself, when you uh, be yourself, you can go ahead and overcome all obstacles. Uh, that's why I usually recommend to my customers, to any specialist on LinkedIn, don't use best practices. Your best practice is your strong side, and be yourself. So if you are good with writing, then write. If you're good with
Mhm.
filming, film. No, nothing special about that. So, but if your competitors are good on YouTube and you don't know how to film videos and have no passion about that, skip it. Find
Mhm.
other channels where you like more. Yeah, I love it. Okay, Joe, I have the question about common mistakes. Can you list common mistakes that companies still do in creating content for user experience, and how to find a much better way?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes they make is, I don't think a lot of companies do quality, QA work. I think that they just throw the content out there and let it go. There's a lot of companies that want to ask for data like right up front, and they don't give you any value to associate with it, and so a lot of companies get skipped that way. I think that a lot of companies don't really focus, especially if you've been in business for a long time and you've got a strong business and everything. I think a lot of them let SEO slack. I think that they don't really think about it much anymore. I think because it's like they've completed the marathon, so now they don't need to continue to train. I think that's sort of the mentality, and I think that's a big problem. I think that ends up kind of ruining things for them long term. I mean, they don't really feel the pain initially, but they will eventually. So I think those things are all kind of important mistakes that I see get made. Those I think that, and I think understanding, constantly understanding what it is your audience wants and making sure that they're getting it. I think that companies that make it hard to find what you're looking for, companies that make it impossible to get an answer to a question, those, that stuff will burn people every time. So those are some of the more common ones I see.
Yeah, love it. Okay, let's talk about patience. Can you tell? Because marketing is not sprint, it's marathon. It takes time, and according to many studies, content creators give up so fast because they can't get results. For example, the best videos that I watch on YouTube about filming 100 bad videos, because how you can film a great video without experience, how you can touch customers' points without experience. That's why PewDiePie didn't give up after filming 100 videos. He got only 285 subscribers. Today he has 100 million. Mr. Beast filmed videos for an year and a half to get only 1,000 subscribers. Today everyone knows Mr. Beast because these guys didn't give up. They loved what they do. So can you tell about patience? Because most people are impatient. They want overnight success. They see great content creators who desert audience because of consistency, because of hard work, because of making a lot of mistakes, but they didn't give up. Any insights about how to get this feeling and go ahead?
Yeah. So if you are doing this solely to become rich, you're not going to want to hang around. That's the thing, because it is a long journey to create content that resonates with people, that then people will start to talk about what you're doing. But I think part of the problem is that, like, right now we don't get a lot of the behind the scenes like pain that people go through when they're creating this stuff. Everybody, like, they just discover Mr. Beast and they think, oh wow, this guy's just been successful since day one. PewDiePie, this is, but like they don't see that, that back journey, the fact that, like, a couple of years ago these guys weren't doing, didn't have anybody following them, that sort of stuff. So it's really about, like, if what you're passionate about is, creating, and you create content around that, you'll get there. It's just you have to stick with it. But the thing is, like, if you're really just creating content because you think it's a good way to make money, you're not going to stick with it, because what's the point? It's not the most, if it's something you don't love, it's not going to be fun, and then therefore you're not going to want to keep doing it. So I would, that's, like, I think the patience thing comes in when you really care about what you're doing and you really love it, then you're willing to stick it out. And at that point, then you can start doing some of the things we talk about, like testing, and about, like, kind of, repurposing content and learning how people respond to it and that sort of thing. But, when you're new and if it's really just like, oh, well, everybody else is making money on Instagram, so I'm going to make money on Instagram. I don't know. I don't think this really isn't the career for you. I think you need to look elsewhere, honestly.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more with that. I think, passion is a must-have. If you are not passionate about something, so it's better to leave it and find something else, because it takes time to achieve some strong positions. But if you are not passionate, you can give up. And for me, it's nothing is wrong with giving up if you don't like what you started, if you suffer by doing something, because I like creating content. I like writing. I like filming because it's my passion. And people, for example, watch Overwatch TV 6 hours a day. So they don't wait when someone will pay money for their hobbies, and it's the same with content. You need to love and enjoy the process. If you love it, then you're not waiting for money. For example, I can play basketball, ping pong, because I love spending time like this. But nobody pays money for my playing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not great sportsman, but I like it, and I think creating content is hobby. If it's not
Mhm.
hobby, then find something else. Not many great entrepreneurs, specialists have no engagement, have no social media followers, but they can enjoy the process in something else and earn good money, because money can come if you are passionate about something. So
Sure.
yeah, I agree with that. Okay, Joe, I have the question about you. Let's imagine you started from scratch without your experience in marketing. What will you do today to learn more about user experience?
So I have no marketing experience. How am I going to learn about
Yeah,
user experience? Ooh.
yeah. Let me tell you why I'm asking about that, because I found that I usually get much better results with someone who understands SEO. If webmasters understand SEO, we can cooperate together. It's not like to tell, I don't know, people who know how to promote websites. It's more about to cooperate together, to
Mhm.
work as a cohesive team. And for example, many people can't build muscles. Why? Because they think that I don't know, like coaches, trainers can tell them what to
Mhm.
do. No, you need to understand why you want to build muscles. Any insights about how to learn from scratch if someone wanna promote their projects?
Yeah. So I think I understand the question. Let me, um, yeah, like, so if you are, let's say you've built something
Hmm.
and you don't know how to promote it,
Yeah.
then my suggestion would be to do exactly kind of like understanding, like, how to, I would say if you're talking about it, go on social, talk about the product, see if people are like resonating with what you're saying. I think like it's almost like market testing or market field testing, right? Like, hey, I built this thing or I want to build this thing. What do you think of it? And kind of go from there, because I don't, to me, I'm a marketing first kind of person. I'm not a product guy. And so for me, it's like it's very easy for me to think about, okay, you've got this thing, how do I market it for you? As opposed to how do you build something and then figure it out later. I think, that's I've never really had to go through that process myself. Thankfully, I think.
Yeah. Okay, Joe, I have the final question about the future in marketing. Many things are coming: metaverse, augmented reality. We have AI today, probably in the beginning of development, because it's only, if I remember correctly, Google implemented AI in 2015. 7 years ago, it's not a lot, and today all businesses can use AI. Can you tell what kind of future will be in your prediction, and how to adapt today to this future?
Yeah, so I think AI is going to continue to be important. And I think it's going to take, like we're going to be, we use it in our platform to help route people's final wishes and things like that. So that's going to be a big thing. I think that I'll take kind of I'm going to make the sort of a hot take here. I think the metaverse is eventually going to just collapse. I don't think it's something that's going to last. I really don't. I think that, I think people still want to have real things. I don't think that that's always gonna. It'll have a place, but I don't think it's going to be the big thing that like Mark Zuckerberg thought it was going to be. But I think AI is going to be here to stay. I think it's going to be more and more important to understand it and understand like the line with which you need to be on in terms of user experience and not being too creepy. I think that that's important because I think there's like the public, I don't think is caught up to that yet. I think like those of us that are in the industry sort of like we just assume everybody's kind of in the same place we are with things because we're all just very much looking for that next shiny object. But the general consumer, they need to be brought along the journey with you. So understanding that could be a problem for them. So I think those are going to be some of the challenges that you're going to run into, in this year. Do I think I think a lot of people are going to lean a little heavily on AI for their content creation to begin with, which I think is going to create opportunities for those of us that understand you need to personalize and make it a little bit different. And, I think you're going to create some, so you can make some headway with that, but eventually it'll correct itself and things will get better. SEO does that all the time, right? Back in the day, everybody was doing black hat stuff, and then Google came in and corrected the behaviors and things got better. So those are kind of my, 2023 predictions. We'll see what happens. I'm usually wrong about that kind of stuff. So don't take everything I say for gospel.
So you don't have crystal ball,
Nope.
because if I have it, the first thing what I can do to buy lottery ticket, if I have crystal ball. But we have no this crystal ball, and we can predict what will be. So to adapt today, and for me, it's more important to be consistent today. Then you can adapt fast with new technologies. And Mark Zuckerberg, I'm pretty sure that he lost $10 billion on this metaverse. But and once I got interesting quote from him. He told if the biggest risk is not to take a risk, So we need to take a risk. We need to analyze. And in marketing, many things don't work because it doesn't mean they don't work. Because you are bad with that, so find your strong side and leave it to someone who is good with this stuff. Joe, it's a big pleasure to get in my show, to learn from you. Tell our audience the best way how to learn more about you, how to follow you, how to reach out to you.
Sure. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Joe Karasin. That's my name. You can follow our company on Instagram, digitalwill.com, Digital Will Company. We're on every social platform, but get ready for our big release coming up this month, February. You will be able to pretty soon download the Digital Will app and actually use it. So, that I think will be the big thing. But I write a lot of blogs there. I do a lot of content there, YouTube, pretty much everywhere. And people can reach out to me directly if they have questions about marketing or anything on LinkedIn. So.
Nice, guys. You need to follow Joe on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Check out this stuff, new things that are coming, because you can see a lot of valuable insights, and it can help you to go ahead to grow your business. Okay, guys, love you. See you.